There's a corner on every casino floor that most people walk right past without thinking twice. Bright lights, loud music, machines that look almost identical to everything else around them. But these machines, they're different. Not in the way you notice at first glance, not in the graphics or the theme or even the jackpot amounts flashing across the screen. They're different in a way that matters far more than any of that. They're designed to take your money faster than almost anything else in the building. I'm talking about slots that can drain a $100 bill in under 3 minutes. Machines that seem generous at first, only to pull the rug out from under you in ways you won't see coming. Games that casinos love to place in high-traffic areas because they know exactly what's going to happen when you sit down. And here's the thing most players don't realize. These machines aren't hidden. They're not tucked away in some back corner where only the desperate go to lose their last 20 bucks. They're front and center. They're the first thing you see when you walk in. They're positioned right next to the buffet, the cashier, the bathroom, because the casino knows something you don't. They know that most players can't tell the difference between a slot that gives you a fighting chance and one that's designed to empty your wallet before you've even had time to order a drink. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Over the years, I've spent countless hours on casino floors. I've watched players lose thousands on machines they should have never touched. I've seen people walk away confused, frustrated, convinced the game was rigged, when really they just didn't know what they were playing. Because here's the truth. Not all slot machines are created equal. Some are built for entertainment. Some are built for long sessions with small wins that keep you engaged. And some are built to do one thing and one thing only: take your money as quickly as possible. And unless you know how to spot them, you're going to keep sitting down at the wrong machines. That's what this video is about. We're going to walk through the exact types of slots you should avoid if you want your money to last. We're going to talk about why these machines are so dangerous, how casinos use them strategically, and what actually happens behind the scenes when you press that spin button. No conspiracy theories, no myths about hot or cold machines, just the real mechanics, the real math, and the real psychology that casinos use to separate you from your cash. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what to look for. You'll know which machines to walk past without a second thought, and you'll understand why some of the most popular slots in the casino are also the most dangerous. Because here's the thing. Casinos don't make billions of dollars by accident. They make it by understanding human behavior better than you understand it yourself. They make it by placing the right machines in the right locations and letting nature take its course. But once you know what you're looking at, everything changes. So, let's talk about the slots you should never play unless you like losing fast. Let's start with the most dangerous type of slot machine you'll find on any casino floor: high volatility slots. Now, if you've spent any time reading about slots online, you've probably heard this term before: volatility, risk level, variance. It all means the same thing. And it's one of the most important factors in determining how fast you're going to lose your money. Here's how it works. Every slot machine has a built-in volatility level. Low volatility means the game pays out frequently, but in small amounts. Medium volatility is somewhere in the middle. Decent-sized wins that come at a moderate pace. And high volatility means the machine almost never pays, but when it does, it pays big. Sounds exciting, right? That's the trap. Because here's what actually happens when you sit down at a high volatility slot. You start spinning, 10 spins, 20 spins, 50 spins, and nothing happens. Maybe you hit a small win here and there, just enough to keep you interested, but overall, your balance is dropping fast. You tell yourself it's fine. You tell yourself the big win is coming. That's how these machines work, right? You've got to ride out the dry spell to hit the jackpot. So you keep playing, and your $100 turns into 70, then 50, then 20, and then it's gone. No bonus round, no jackpot, no massive payout that makes it all worth it. Just an empty wallet and the nagging feeling that you should have walked away 10 minutes ago. This is exactly what high volatility slots are designed to do. They're not designed for the average player who wants to stretch their money and have a good time. They're designed for high rollers. Players with deep pockets who can afford to lose hundreds, sometimes thousands, before they hit that one big win. And casinos love these machines. Because even though they pay out big occasionally, the math is heavily in the house's favor. The return to player percentage might look decent on paper, maybe 95 or 96%, but that percentage is calculated over millions of spins. For you, sitting there with $100 and 30 minutes to kill, you're not going to see that average play out. What you're going to see is your money disappear in record time. And here's where it gets even worse. Casinos know high volatility slots are exciting. They know that players are drawn to the possibility of that massive jackpot. So they will make these games look as flashy and appealing as possible. Big jackpot numbers, exciting themes, bonus features that seem like they're about to hit any second. They place these machines in high-traffic areas, right near the entrance, right next to the bar, right where you're most likely to walk past and think, why not? Let's give it a shot. And that's all it takes. $100, 3 minutes, gone. Now, I'm not saying you should never play a high-volatility slot. If you've got the bankroll for it, if you understand the risk, and if you're genuinely prepared to lose everything in pursuit of that one big win, then go for it. But if you're like most players, someone who's just looking to have fun and make their money last, these are the machines you need to avoid. Because the truth is, the big win almost never comes. You'll hear stories about the guy who hit the jackpot on his last spin, the woman who walked away with $20,000 after putting in $50, and those stories are real. But for every one of those stories, there are 10,000 players who walked away with nothing. That's the math. That's the reality. And that's why high volatility slots are the first type of machine you should cross off your list. Unless you like watching your money disappear faster than you can blink. Let's talk about penny slots. On the surface, they seem perfect. Low risk, casual, the kind of machine you can sit at for hours without breaking the bank. 1 cent per line. How bad could it be? That's what the casino wants you to think. Because penny slots aren't cheap, not even close. In fact, for most players, penny slots are some of the fastest money-draining machines on the floor. Here's why.
When you sit down at a penny slot, you're not actually betting 1 cent per spin. You're betting 1 cent per line. And most modern penny slots have anywhere from 25 to 100 lines. Let's do the math. If you're playing a 50-line penny slot at 1 cent per line, you're betting 50 cents per spin. That might not sound like much, but it adds up fast. 50 cents per spin, 60 spins per hour, which is actually on the slower side. That's $30 per hour. And if you're playing at a faster pace, which most people do, you're looking at $40 or even $50 per hour. Still think penny slots are cheap? But it gets worse. Most penny slots don't let you bet just 1 cent per line. They encourage you, sometimes require you, to bet more. 2 cents per line, 5 cents per line, sometimes even 10 cents per line. Suddenly, your penny slot is costing you $5 per spin. And the casino loves this because they've created the illusion of low-stakes gambling while actually getting you to spend just as much, sometimes more than you would on a higher denomination machine. The psychology here is brilliant in a twisted sort of way. Players see penny slot, and their brain registers safe. They think they're being responsible. They think they're stretching their budget. They think they're playing smart. But the reality is completely different. The reality is that penny slots are designed to keep you spinning, fast, over and over, with just enough small wins to make you feel like you're doing okay, even as your balance steadily drops. And here's another thing most players don't realize. Penny slots often have lower return-to-player percentages than higher denomination machines, because the casino knows they can get away with it. They know that players are drawn to the perceived low cost, and they know that once you're sitting there, you're going to keep playing regardless of the actual RTP. So while a dollar slot might have an RTP of 95% or higher, that penny slot you're playing might only be paying back 88% or 90%. Over hundreds or thousands of spins, that difference is massive. But in the moment, you won't notice. All you'll notice is that you're having fun, the machine is paying out every few spins, and everything feels fine. Until you check your balance and realize you've burned through $200 in less than an hour. And then there's the bonus rounds. Penny slots love bonus rounds. Free spins, pick-a-prize features, wheel spins, all designed to feel exciting and rewarding. But here's the truth. Most of the time, those bonus rounds don't pay much. You'll get 15 free spins and walk away with $3. You'll pick 3 treasure chests and win a total of 80 cents. It feels like a win because the machine is celebrating, lights are flashing, music is playing. But when you look at the actual payout, it's barely enough to cover the spins it took to trigger the feature. This is called losses disguised as wins, and penny slots are masters of it. You bet 50 cents, you win 30 cents. The machine lights up like you just hit the jackpot. Your brain registers a win. But you actually just lost 20 cents, and it happens over and over and over again. Before you know it, you've been sitting there for an hour, you've had dozens of wins, and your bankroll is gone. So why do casinos push penny slots so hard? Because they're incredibly profitable. They attract casual players who think they're being careful with their money. They keep those players engaged for long periods of time, and they quietly drain bankrolls without most people even realizing what's happening. You'll see entire sections of the casino floor dedicated to penny slots, rows and rows of them, all with bright themes and fun graphics and the promise of easy, low-cost entertainment. But the math tells a different story. The math says that penny slots are just as dangerous, sometimes more dangerous, than any other machine in the casino. So if you're looking to make your money last, if you're trying to have a long session without burning through your budget, penny slots are not the answer. They're a trap disguised as a bargain. And unless you know exactly what you're doing, they're going to take your money just as fast as anything else on the floor. Walk into any casino and you'll see them. The machines with the massive numbers. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars flashing across the screen. Progressive jackpot slots. And they're impossible to ignore. Because that number keeps climbing. Every second, every spin, every dollar someone feeds into the machine adds a little bit more to that jackpot. It's right there, right in front of you, one spin away. Or so it seems. Here's what most players don't understand about progressive jackpot machines. The odds of actually hitting that jackpot are so astronomically low that you have a better chance of being struck by lightning. Twice. I'm not exaggerating. Most major progressive jackpots have odds somewhere in the range of 1 in 10 million to 1 in 50 million. Some are even worse. To put that in perspective, your odds of winning the Powerball are about 1 in 292 million. The Mega Millions, 1 in 302 million. So yes, progressive slots have better odds than the lottery, but not by much. And yet, people play them constantly.
Because the human brain isn't wired to process those kinds of numbers. When you see 1 in 10 million, your brain doesn't really understand what that means. It just hears chance. It hears possible. And that's all it takes. You sit down, you tell yourself you're just going to try a few spins, just see what happens. You're not expecting to win, but hey, someone's got to win eventually, right? Maybe it'll be you. So you start playing. And here's where the real problem begins. Progressive jackpot machines don't just have terrible odds for the main jackpot.
They also tend to have lower overall payout rates for the base game. Think about it. A portion of every bet you make goes toward funding that massive jackpot, which means less money is being returned to players through regular gameplay. So while a standard slot might pay back 94 or 95% over time, a progressive slot might only pay back 88% or 90%. You're paying a premium for the chance at that big number. And for most players, that premium is never going to pay off. But the casino doesn't care, because they know that the jackpot is the hook. The jackpot is what gets you in the seat. And once you're there, once you're feeding money into the machine, the math takes over. You're not going to win the jackpot. Statistically, you're just not. But you are going to lose money on every spin trying. And here's another thing most people don't realize. On many progressive machines, you have to bet the maximum amount to even be eligible for the jackpot. That's right. If you're trying to stretch your money by betting smaller amounts, you're not even in the running. You're playing a version of the game with worse odds and no chance at the prize that got you to sit down in the first place. It's a brilliant trick, really. The casino lures you in with the promise of a life-changing jackpot, then structures the game so that most players either can't afford to bet enough to qualify or don't realize they need to. And even if you do bet max, even if you do everything right, the odds are still overwhelmingly against you. I've seen it happen countless times. Players who camp out at progressive machines for hours, sometimes days, feeding in hundreds or thousands of dollars, convinced that the jackpot is due, convinced that they're building up to something. But that's not how it works. Every spin is independent. The machine doesn't remember how much you spent or how long you've been playing. The odds of hitting the jackpot on your first spin are exactly the same as hitting it on your 10,000th spin. Which is to say, almost zero. And yet the myth persists. Players talk about machines being due or ready to hit. They look at the jackpot amount and try to calculate when it's going to pay out based on how high the number has climbed. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is the random number generator inside the machine. And that generator doesn't care how much you've spent or how long you've been sitting there. It just spins and spins and spins and almost never hits. Now, I'm not saying that no one ever wins a progressive jackpot. Of course people do. That's why the machines exist. But for every one person who walks away with $1 million, there are tens of millions of players who walk away with nothing. And if you're sitting down at a progressive slot expecting to be the exception, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Because the truth is, progressive jackpot machines are some of the worst bets you can make in a casino. They offer the illusion of opportunity, the fantasy of a life-changing win. But the reality is that they're designed to take your money faster than almost anything else on the floor. So unless you've got money to burn and you're playing purely for the entertainment value of chasing a dream, progressive jackpot machines are not where you want to spend your time. There are better games, better odds, better ways to make your money last. And we'll talk about those. But first, let's keep going, because there are even more machines you need to avoid. Let's talk about the machines that everyone recognizes, the ones based on movies, TV shows, celebrities, pop culture icons. You've seen them: Wheel of Fortune, Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead, Ellen, Friends, Ghostbusters. These machines are everywhere, and they're incredibly popular because people love familiarity. They love seeing something they recognize. They love the idea of playing a game that ties into a show they watched or a movie they loved. And casinos know this. That's why they invest millions of dollars in licensing deals to bring these branded slots to the floor. But here's what most players don't realize. Those licensing deals are expensive, really expensive. And that cost? It comes out of your payout. Here's how it works. When a casino or a slot manufacturer wants to create a game based on a popular brand, they have to pay for the rights. Sometimes it's a flat fee, sometimes it's a percentage of revenue, sometimes it's both. Either way, it's a significant expense. And that money has to come from somewhere. So the manufacturer builds a machine with a slightly lower return-to-player percentage. Instead of 94 or 95%, maybe it's 91 or 92%. A few percentage points might not sound like a big deal, but over the course of hundreds or thousands of spins, it adds up fast. Let's say you're playing a standard slot with a 95% RTP. For every $100 you put in, you're getting back $95 on average. Now let's say you're playing a branded slot with a 91% RTP. For every $100 you put in, you're getting back $91. That's a $4 difference. And if you're playing for an hour, putting in $500 worth of bets, that difference becomes $20. It might not seem like much in the moment, but it's the difference between walking away with something left in your pocket and walking away empty-handed. And here's the thing. Most players have no idea this is happening. They see a machine with their favorite TV show or movie on it, and they sit down thinking it's just like any other slot. They assume the odds are the same. They assume the payouts are the same. But they're not.
The casino is betting that the appeal of the brand will outweigh the slightly worse odds. And most of the time, they're right. Because players aren't checking the RTP before they sit down. They're not comparing the math. They're just excited to play something familiar. And the casino takes full advantage of that. Now, I'm not saying that all branded slots are terrible. Some of them are actually decent games with reasonable RTPs and fun features. But, as a general rule, branded slots tend to pay out less than non-branded slots. And there's another issue with these machines. They're designed to be exciting, to keep you engaged, to make you feel like you're part of the brand experience. Which sounds great until you realize that all of that excitement is a distraction from the fact that you're losing money. Think about it. You're playing a Game of Thrones slot. The theme music's playing. Characters from the show are appearing on the screen. You hit a bonus round and suddenly you're in Westeros, spinning a wheel or picking dragon eggs or whatever the feature is. It feels immersive. It feels fun. It feels like you're getting your money's worth. But when the feature ends and you check your balance, you realize you won less than you spent to trigger it. That's not an accident. Branded slots are engineered to create an experience, to make you feel like you're part of something bigger, to distract you from the math. And it works. Players will sit at a branded slot for hours, even if they're losing consistently, because they're entertained, they're engaged, they're having fun. And the casino couldn't be happier, because at the end of the day, entertainment is what they're selling. Not wins, not payouts, entertainment. And if they can charge you a premium for that entertainment by lowering the RTP a few percentage points, they absolutely will. So, here's the bottom line. If you're playing a branded slot because you genuinely love the theme and you're okay with the trade-off, that's fine. Go for it. Have fun. But if you're playing because you think the brand somehow gives you a better chance of winning, you're wrong. In fact, it's usually the opposite. You're paying extra for the license, you're getting less in return, and you're being distracted by flashy graphics and familiar characters while your bankroll slowly disappears. That's the reality of branded slots. They look great, they sound great, they're fun to play. But they're not where you want to put your money if you're trying to make it last. There are better options, and we're going to keep talking about them. Here's something most players never think about. Speed. Not the speed of the reel spinning, not the speed of the animations, but the speed at which you're able to place bets. And this might be the most dangerous factor of all, because modern slot machines are fast, really fast. In the old days, you'd pull a lever, watch the reels spin, wait for them to stop, and then either collect your winnings or feed in another coin. The whole process took time. There was a natural rhythm to it, a built-in pause between spins that gave you a moment to think, to assess, to decide whether you wanted to keep going. That pause doesn't exist anymore. Now you press a button and the reels spin instantly. The outcome is determined in a fraction of a second, and if you're playing on a touchscreen, you don't even have to move your finger. Just tap, tap, tap. Spin after spin after spin with almost no delay. And here's why that's a problem. The faster you can spin, the more money you can lose in a given period of time. It's simple math. If you're playing a machine that allows you to spin 60 times in an hour, and you're betting $1 per spin, you're putting $60 at risk. But if you're playing a machine that allows you to spin 120 times in an hour, which is entirely possible on modern slots, you're now putting $120 at risk. Same bet size, same amount of time, double the exposure. And most players have no idea this is happening. Because in the moment, each individual spin feels the same. You're pressing a button, you're watching the reels, you're seeing if you won. But when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, you realize you've been spinning at a pace that's burning through your bankroll twice as fast as it should. Casinos know this. That's why they've designed modern machines to be as fast as possible. No unnecessary animations, no delays, no friction between you and the next bet. Just speed. Because speed equals profit. The more spins you make, the more money the casino takes. It's that simple. And here's where the psychology gets interesting. When you're spinning fast, you don't have time to process what's happening. You don't have time to think about whether you should stop. You don't have time to feel the impact of each loss. It all blurs together. You're in a zone, a trance almost, just pressing the button over and over, watching the reels spin, reacting to the sounds and lights. And before you know it, your money is gone. This is called time on device, and it's one of the most important metrics casinos track. They want you sitting at that machine for as long as possible, and the best way to maximize their profit during that time is to get you to spin as fast as possible. Now, here's the thing. You can control this, not by playing a different machine, but by simply slowing down. Take your time between spins. Let the previous results sink in. Think about what you're doing. Give yourself a chance to assess whether you're actually having fun or are just going through the motions. Because the truth is, the speed of the game is working against you. Every machine on the casino floor is designed to encourage rapid play. Fast spins, quick bets, no downtime.
And if you're not consciously resisting that design, you're going to get swept up in it. You're going to lose money faster than you intended. You're going to burn through your bankroll before you even realize what's happening. And you're going to walk away wondering where it all went. I've seen it happen countless times. Players who sit down with a set budget, fully intending to pace themselves, only to get caught up in the speed of the game and blow through everything in record time. It's not because they're reckless. It's not because they're addicted. It's because the machine is designed to make them play fast. And fast play is expensive play. So if you want to make your money last, if you want to actually enjoy your time at the casino instead of just mindlessly pressing buttons, you need to be aware of speed. Slow down. Take breaks between spins. Don't let the machine dictate the pace, because the faster you play, the faster you lose. And unless you're okay with that, unless you genuinely don't care how long your money lasts, speed is something you need to control. Not the casino. You. Let's talk about something most players never even consider: location. Where a slot machine is placed on the casino floor. Because here's the truth. Casinos don't just drop machines randomly and hope for the best. Every single machine is placed strategically, deliberately, with one goal in mind: maximize profit. And the machines that are the worst for players, those are the ones you're most likely to see first. Think about it. When you walk into a casino, what do you see? Rows of slot machines near the entrance. Machines lining the walkway to the buffet. Machines positioned right next to the cashier, the restroom, the elevators. These are high-traffic areas, places where people naturally pass by, places where even someone who wasn't planning to gamble might stop and think, why not? Just one spin. And that's exactly why the casino puts certain machines there. Not the good ones, not the machines with decent RTPs or player-friendly features, the bad ones. The machines that eat money fast, the machines that rarely pay, the machines designed to take advantage of impulse decisions. Because the casino knows that most of the people walking past these machines aren't serious slot players. They're casual visitors, tourists, people with a few bucks to spare and a couple of minutes to kill. These people aren't going to sit there for hours analyzing payout rates or tracking their losses. They're just going to play a few spins and move on. And if the machine takes their money quickly, they'll probably just shrug it off and keep walking. That's the entire strategy. Put the worst machines in the places where people are least likely to notice or care. Now contrast that with the machines in the back of the casino, the ones tucked away in quieter sections, the ones that serious slot players seek out. Those machines tend to be better. Not always, but often, because the casino knows that people who venture to the back of the floor are usually more experienced. They're more likely to know what they're looking for. They're more likely to notice if a machine is tight or if the payouts are terrible. So the casino places slightly better machines in those areas to keep those players happy and coming back. It's a subtle manipulation, but it's incredibly effective. And most players never even realize it's happening. They sit down at the first machine they see, the one right by the door or next to the bar, and they assume it's just as good as any other machine in the building. But it's not. That machine is there because the casino knows that people will play it regardless of the odds. Here's another thing to watch for. Machines near the casino cage, the cashier, the ATM. These are some of the most dangerous locations on the floor. Why? Because the casino is targeting players who are either desperate or impulsive. Someone who just cashed out from a winning session and has a pile of bills in their hand. Someone who just withdrew cash from the ATM and is already second-guessing the decision. Someone who lost everything and is thinking about one last spin. The machines in these locations are designed to catch those players, to take their money before they have a chance to think it through. And they work. I've watched people cash out from a winning session, walk toward the exit, see a machine near the door, and decide to play just one more spin. 10 minutes later, half their winnings are gone. That's not bad luck. That's strategic placement. So here's the rule. If you want to find machines that at least give you a fighting chance, avoid the high-traffic areas. Don't play the machines near the entrance. Don't play the machines by the bathroom. Don't play the machines right next to the cashier or the buffet line. Those are the slots the casino wants you to play. Instead, head to the quieter sections, the back corners, the areas where serious slot players go. Are those machines guaranteed to be better? No, but often, because location matters.
It matters more than most players realize. And if you're paying attention, if you're thinking about why a machine is where it is, you'll start to see the patterns. You'll start to understand the psychology.
and you'll stop making the mistake of sitting down at the first machine you see. Because that machine, it's not there for you. It's there for the casino. Let's talk about one of the most persistent myths in gambling: the idea of a hot machine. You've heard it before. Maybe you've even believed it. A machine that's been paying out. A machine that's on a streak. A machine that's due to hit. Players camp out at these machines. They watch other people play, waiting for the moment when they can jump in. They track wins and losses, looking for patterns. And they're wasting their time. Because hot machines don't exist. Neither do cold machines. Every single spin on a modern slot machine is determined by a random number generator, an RNG. And that generator doesn't care what happened on the last spin, or the spin before that, or any spin ever. Each result is independent, completely random. That machine that just paid out 5 times in a row, it's just as likely to pay out on the next spin as the machine that hasn't hit in 3 hours. That's not an opinion. That's how the technology works. And yet, the myth persists. Why? Because human brains are wired to see patterns, even when those patterns don't exist. It's called apathenia, the tendency to perceive meaningful connections in random data. You see a machine pay out 3 times in 10 minutes, and your brain says, that's a pattern. That machine is hot. But it's not. It's just random chance playing out in a way that happens to look meaningful. And casinos love this. Because the belief in hot and cold machines keeps players glued to their seats. It gives them a reason to stay, a reason to keep spinning, a reason to think that if they just play one more round, they'll catch the machine at the right moment. But that moment doesn't exist. The machine isn't building up to anything. It's not due to hit. It's not holding back wins until the right time. It's just spinning, randomly, over and over. Now, here's where it gets even more frustrating. Players will sit at a machine for hours, convinced it's about to pay. They'll watch their bankroll dwindle, spin after spin, telling themselves that the machine is just taking a break, that it was hot before, so it'll get hot again. And when it finally does pay out something small, they take it as confirmation. See, I knew it was about to hit. I just had to wait it out. But that's not what happened. What happened is you sat there long enough for the random number generator to eventually land on a winning combination, which was going to happen eventually, regardless of how long you waited or how much you spent. You didn't outsmart the machine. You didn't catch it at the right time. You just got lucky. Finally. And in the process, you probably lost far more than you won. This is why casino floors are full of players who look frustrated, who look tired, who look like they're chasing something that's always just out of reach. Because they are. They're chasing a pattern that doesn't exist, a strategy that doesn't work, a belief that's been disproven by the very technology inside the machine they're playing. And here's the really dangerous part. Some players will take this myth even further. They'll track machines across multiple visits. They'll keep notes on which games paid out and when. They'll develop elaborate theories about timing and cycles and patterns. None of it matters. The RNG inside that machine is generating thousands of results per second, even when no one's playing. even when the casino is closed. There is no cycle. There is no pattern. There is no right time to play. There's just randomness. And randomness doesn't care about your theories or your observations, or how long you've been sitting there. It just does what it does. So if you're someone who's been hunting for hot machines, I'm going to tell you something you probably don't want to hear. You're wasting your energy. You're basing your decisions on a myth, and that myth is costing you money. Because while you're sitting at a machine waiting for it to heat up, you could be doing literally anything else. Playing a different game, taking a break, walking away with the money you still have left. Instead, you're chasing a ghost. And the casino is happy to let you. Because every minute you spend at that machine believing in something that doesn't exist is another minute you're feeding money into a system that's designed to take it. So here's the truth, plain and simple. Every machine on the casino floor has the same chance of paying out on any given spin. The machine in the corner that hasn't hit in hours. The machine by the door that just paid a jackpot 5 minutes ago. They're all the same. Random. Independent. Unpredictable. And if you want to make smarter decisions, if you want to stop wasting time and money on strategies that don't work, you need to let go of the idea that machines have personalities or patterns or streaks. They don't. They're just computers, running programs, generating numbers. That's it. Here's a feature that most players don't notice until it's too late. Maximum bet requirements. You sit down at a machine. You start playing. Maybe you're betting $1 per spin, maybe 50 cents, whatever fits your budget. And then you hit a bonus round or you see the jackpot information, and you realize something. To actually qualify for the top prize, you need to be betting the maximum amount. And suddenly, that $1 per spin isn't going to cut it. This is one of the sneakiest ways casinos separate casual players from their money. Because here's what happens. You're sitting there, playing at a comfortable pace, managing your bankroll, feeling like you're in control.
And then you learn that you're not actually eligible for the full game. You're playing a limited version, a version where the best payouts, the biggest jackpots, and sometimes even the most valuable bonus features are locked behind a higher bet requirement. So you have a choice. Keep playing at your current bet level, knowing you're not getting the full experience, or increase your bet to the maximum and burn through your money twice as fast. Most players choose option 2, because once you know you're not eligible for the big wins, it feels pointless to keep playing. You start thinking, what's the point of hitting the bonus round if I'm only going to win a fraction of what I could? So you bump up your bet, and your bankroll starts disappearing much faster than you planned. This is exactly what the casino wants. They've designed the game to make you feel like you're missing out unless you're betting max. They put the best features, the most exciting wins, just out of reach unless you're willing to pay a premium. And most players fall for it. Now, let's be clear about something. Not all machines have maximum bet requirements. Some games pay proportionally, no matter how much you bet. If you bet 50 cents and win, you get the same relative payout as someone betting $5. But many machines, especially the ones with big jackpots or elaborate bonus features, don't work that way. On these machines, the top-tier payouts are only available if you're betting max, which means if you're trying to stretch your budget, you're essentially playing a different game than the person next to you who's betting big. You're both spinning the same reels, but you're not both eligible for the same rewards. And here's where it gets frustrating. The machine doesn't always make this clear up front. You might play for 20 minutes before you realize you're not actually in the running for the jackpot. Or you might trigger a bonus feature and receive a payout that feels disappointing, only to learn later that you would have won much more if you'd been betting max. By the time you figure it out, you've already spent a chunk of your bankroll. And now you're faced with that choice again. Keep playing at your current level, or increase your bet and hope you can make up for what you've already lost. It's a psychological trap, and it works, because players don't want to feel like they're playing an inferior version of the game. They don't want to walk away knowing they could have won more if they just bet a little extra. So they increase their bets, and their bankroll starts disappearing faster than they planned. This is exactly why this is so dangerous. Let's say you start with $100. You're betting $1 per spin. At that rate, you've got roughly 100 spins before your money runs out, assuming you never win, which obviously isn't realistic, but stay with me. Now, let's say you increase your bet to $3 per spin to qualify for the top-tier payouts. Suddenly, you've only got about 33 spins. You've just cut your playtime by 2/3. Sure, your potential payouts are bigger, but your chances of hitting those payouts haven't changed. You're just risking more money per spin for the possibility of a bigger win. And most of the time, that bigger win never comes. What comes instead is an empty wallet and the realization that you burned through your budget in a fraction of the time you intended. So here's my advice. If you're playing a machine and you discover there's a maximum bet requirement for the top features, ask yourself this: is it worth it? Are you actually prepared to bet that much per spin? Can you afford to lose money 3 times as fast? If the answer is no, walk away. Don't let the casino convince you that you're missing out. Don't fall into the trap of thinking you need to bet max to have a real chance. Because the truth is, your chances are terrible either way. But at least if you're betting within your budget, you'll last long enough to actually enjoy yourself. And that's more than most players can say. So let's bring it all together. We've talked about high volatility slots, the machines that promise massive payouts but almost never deliver, the ones that drain your bankroll in minutes while you wait for a bonus round that may never come. We've talked about penny slots, the machines that seem cheap and harmless but actually cost just as much, sometimes more than higher denomination games, the ones that hide their true costs behind multi-line bets and losses disguised as wins. We've talked about progressive jackpots, the flashing numbers that draw you in with dreams of life-changing money, while keenly offering some of the worst odds and lowest payout rates on the entire casino floor. We talked about branded slots, the games that look exciting because they're tied to your favorite movie or TV show, but that use those licensing costs as an excuse to pay you less. We've talked about speed, the way modern machines are designed to keep you spinning faster and faster, burning through your money before you even realize what's happening. We've talked about location, how casinos strategically place their worst machines in high-traffic areas, targeting casual players who don't know any better. We've talked about the myth of hot and cold machines, the belief that you can outsmart a random number generator by tracking patterns that don't exist. And we've talked about maximum bet requirements, the hidden tax that forces you to choose between playing a limited version of the game or risking your entire bankroll twice as fast. These are the machines you need to avoid. Not because you'll never win on them, not because they're rigged or illegal or anything like that, but because the math is stacked against you. More than it needs to be, more than it is on other machines just a few rows away. And if you're trying to make your money last, if you're trying to actually enjoy your time at the casino instead of just watching your balance disappear, these are the games that will ruin your session faster than anything else. Now, here's the thing. I'm not telling you never to gamble. I'm not telling you to avoid casinos entirely. I'm just telling you to be smart about where you put your money. Because the casino is counting on you not knowing the difference between a decent game and a terrible one. They're counting on you sitting down at the first machine you see. They're counting on you chasing jackpots you'll never hit and believing in patterns that don't exist. They're counting on you playing fast, betting big, and walking away empty-handed without ever understanding why. But now you know better. You know what to look for. You know which machines are designed to take your money as quickly as possible. You know how casinos use psychology, placement, and game design to separate you from your cash. And that knowledge is power. It won't guarantee you win. Nothing can do that. But it will give you a fighting chance. It will help you make smarter decisions. It will keep you from sitting down at machines that were designed to destroy your bankroll before you've even had a chance to enjoy yourself. So, the next time you walk into a casino, take a breath. Look around. Think about what we've talked about. And when you see those flashy machines near the entrance, the ones with the massive progressive jackpots and the familiar TV show themes and the penny slots that promise hours of cheap entertainment, keep walking. Because those machines aren't there for you. They're there for the casino. And now that you know the difference, you don't have to fall for it anymore.